this has been a big year for you. You have such variety in the roles that you got. Was that planned or was it just a great accident?
A little bit of both, I think. It's nice to be working. I certainly have had my share of my career where the opposite has been true, and I've been staring at the phone waiting for it to ring. So it's nice to actually have, especially given the landscape of the last few years with the pandemic and how that's affected every aspect of our lives. It's been nice to have a pretty good run here to get to do some very challenging things that are all over the spectrum of what we get to do. So I'm pleased that they're all starting to come out and people are getting a chance to see them.
But Roy has to be really something special, I would think. And who did you base him on? Is there somebody that you thought of when you were pulling this together?
Well, Noah told me, he sort of like, he had the image in mind of the Marlboro Man. And I think we all know what that kind of represents. And I think there are some not so subtle comparisons in the shooting of the show where we see Roy in kind of those classic poses. So that was kind of from a visual standpoint what we were thinking of. But then of course he has a life, and the more we find out about that life, the more deeper we're pulled into this dark web of intrigue. And that's where we start to get into the story of the season. And that became a lot more challenging and fun to get into and to play.
Did you ever say, no, I'm not doing that?
No, I'm more of a yes and person when it comes to talking and doing things and portraying something. When I sign on to something, and especially when it's someone as tremendously talented and creative as Noah, working with folks, when I was teaching acting, I would tell my kids the same thing. It's more fun to say, let's find it together, and yes, and then start putting up barriers and saying, I'm not going to do that, or I'm not going to do this. I mean, obviously you protect yourself and your safety and your mental health and all that stuff, of course. But from a creative standpoint, it's more fun when you just lead with yes, and let's see where the story takes us.
The other thing I noticed about your performance is that you didn't do the Fargo accent entirely. You had little glimpses of it, but you didn't like lean into it like others have. Was there a reason for that?
Well, Roy's not from Minnesota. He's from kind of the western part of North Dakota, which we discussed, and I had many meetings with dialect coaches and people. He's got more of a kind of a cowboy aspect to his speech patterns, and less of the city Minnesota kind of sensibility. So that was, a choice, and that was I think helpful. I think we see a lot of the folks in this season have that kind of traditional upper Midwest Minnesota accent that we know and love. But Roy is cut from a different cloth.
He's from the western part of the state.
Western part of North Dakota, so even one
yes,
state
the Badlands. So there you go.
Badlands, very much the Badlands.
Were you familiar with North Dakota and Minnesota then when you were growing up, or not?
Well, I knew where they were. I certainly knew where they were. I've been to Minnesota on multiple occasions. I used to go up there and work with former Senator Franken up there. I love that part of the country. It's beautiful. I've not been to the Dakotas, but I've been to almost everywhere else around there, including where we shot this, which was in
Calgary,
southern Alberta. Yeah, so it's a beautiful part of the world. It's very resonant. It looks very much like the prairie, what it is, and it's cold and it's sometimes inhospitable, and it has its own rules, and we very much exploit that in the telling of this story.
And you get the coat. That coat is iconic.
Yeah, I wish I got to keep that, but the costume department, no, they built that for me, but they got to keep that just in case we ever need to go reshoot something, I think.
The other thing I would ask for is a certain towel. I said that's going to be that's a collectible.
That one might be merch on the website. Maybe
right.
they might sell that one.
Yeah. How much did you know where this was going? Did you know before you started how it would end? Or were you like the others who kept saying that we only got a script at a time and we didn't know what the thing was going to be?
Very much that. The story was revealed to us in dribs and drabs, and we weren't necessarily, I didn't really want to know where it was going. Obviously, I knew that given my character's choices over the course of the show, it probably wasn't going to end with a parade in his honor. But there's a lot of colors when you start painting this kind of a painting, and so I was pleased to see how it transpired and how it ended, and I think it will be tremendously satisfying for those who watch.
Did you guess it?
I don't think I guessed it. I think it's impossible to guess. I think, especially given the way the last few episodes unfold, there's so much that kind of folds in on itself that it's again, it's a hallmark of Noah's insanely creative mind that this is how it all unfolded.
You are so good at this kind of comedy drama, if you will. How come you haven't done a Coen Brothers thing before now?
Well, maybe that sounds like a question for the Coen brothers more than me.
Should I put it out there?
Yes, please. Let's put it out in the world to manifest. No, I've been a fan of their work since I started paying attention to their work, which for me was Blood Simple and Raising Arizona. They're so amazing at finding a specific tone that is almost indescribable. But their creativity is without equal. But I think Noah's is right up there. So I've been pleased to be invited into the Fargo universe and happy to do my part.
Noah is another brother, and you could be too. You never know.
Here's from your lips to God's ears, as they say.
Hey, Jon, thank you so much. And this is so much fun. People are going to just love it.
Well, thank you. Thanks. Nice talking with you.
Yes. Nice to see you.